I'm Scott Simmie, Chief Content Editor with InDro Robotics, and joining me on this micro podcast is Training and Regulatory Specialist Kate Klassen. Hi, Kate.
Hello, Scott.
So we're here to talk at a high level about something lots of people in the industry have been talking about recently, and that's the new Transport Canada RPAS regulations. So right off the top, Kate, who will want to get a Level 1 complex certificate?
So the Level 1 complex pilot certification is set up to enable folks who want to be able to fly low risk beyond visual line of sight. And that will be with both small and medium RPAS. So a small RPAS we're familiar with, that's what the regulations covered up until now. That's a 250-gram drone up to a 25-kilogram drone. Now, a medium drone is 25.1 kilograms up to 150 kilograms. So you're able to operate under Level 1 complex, both small and medium-sized drones at least 1 kilometer away from a populated area, which would be somewhere with 5.1 people or more. This is more than 5 people, but measure those in decimals. And it will also allow you to fly small RPAS less than 1 kilometer from a populated area or over sparsely populated areas where there's up to 25 people per square kilometer. So it really opens up, can make more routine, works right into the cars, the permissions that are required for folks that would benefit from those types of applications. So you could think of things that are in more remote areas, perhaps like pipeline inspections or power line inspections, things that are a little bit more remote. These aren't the regulations that are going to enable your Amazon delivery to show up on your doorstep, but they're a step in that direction.
Now, if you do plan on flying routine, low-risk BVLOS, a company will need to get an RPAS operator certificate, or I think the acronym is RPOC. You have described this as a 3-minute application with massive implications. What do you mean?
Yeah, you're right. So in addition to the pilot requiring this Level 1 complex certification to fly low-risk BVLOS, they also need to be affiliated, acting as an agent or an employee of an organization that holds an RPOC, that RPAS operating certificate. It is something that, as an individual, you could hold both items yourself. But if you're a larger organization, it would be expected that you have a bit more of a chain of command and different people in different required roles. So to actually get an RPOC, it's a form that you complete on the drone management portal. And it even says Transport Canada has, this will take you about 3 minutes. Make sure you have these things. So essentially, it's just a declaration that says, yes, I have all of the things that are required of me as an RPOC, like to hold an RPAS operator certificate. There is no validating that TC does at this level to make sure that what you said you have, you actually do have. But that will come if you get into something that falls outside of it, and you end up with a BVLOS SFOC application that's into the medium or higher complexity SFOCs, and there will be some kind of investigation, auditing of your RPOC. But there are a ton of regulations that identify the requirements of what you need to be able to be an RPAS operator. And a big component of that is an RPAS operating manual, which includes, among other things, like a complete training program, which would have initial and annual training and records that are associated with keeping track of that. You need to establish the chain of command within the organization with response to accountable executive and person responsible for maintenance and who it is that's actually delivering that training. And then you also need to have your standard processes set up. So your SOPs that you're familiar with, but you may expand on kind of that bare minimum that's required and within the cars. But then there's also a large component. It's not a safety management system, but it ticks a lot of the similar boxes. So looking at things like, how are you addressing and improving on the safety of your organization year over year? How are you assessing hazards to aviation and mitigating them, and then assessing how successful those mitigations were? So there's a lot of responsibility that falls on the applicant and the accountable executive for that RPOC. So yes, it might be a simple 3-minute form on the Transport Canada drone management portal, but it's not something that you would want to approach lightly, because there are a lot of regulations that you're saying you meet the requirements of, But you don't need to demonstrate that at the time, but you would never want to put yourself in a situation where you don't actually have those programs in place before you submit that declaration that you do.
All right, Kate, fascinating information. I'm going to keep with my pledge of keeping this a micro podcast, so we'll wrap it up there and come back another time for the next segment. Kate Klassen, the training and regulatory specialist from InDro Robotics, thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott. Happy to chat about this whenever you'd like.